that's just the challenge. They lay down the challenge, right, to this moment, to rolling away the stone. Wow. But how often do we think that, right? All of my effort is for naught, right? How often do we let life discourage us? This, that, not the way it's supposed to be. Well, it is the way it is, so how is that not the way it's supposed to be? Except in our head, right? We talk about a lot around here. It's like, it's the way it's supposed to be, except your head says it's not. And that thought in your head is literally what we call the devil, right? Is what we call that adverse consciousness that thinks that you have to fight and scramble and be against something. And we forget that what we're really here for is to be for truth, love, wholeness, humanity, compassion, caring, openness, peace. We spend so much of our life fighting what is that we forget we can stand in the truth of who we are and let that light out. But often that light gets blocked. Often that being that we really know who we are, right? You are God's perfect expression. You are God's perfect child. And we let the stones and the pebbles and the protection pile up till we are like Jesus in the tomb, waiting for someone else to roll away the stone, waiting to understand, how do I transform from here? You know, many people will ask me, because I'm a Unity minister, they say, you know, does Unity believe that actually Jesus rose from the tomb on Easter Sunday? No. Or do they believe it's metaphor and allegory? And my answer is yes. Yes. Then again, hear it. When we have to put it into, yes, it happened, no, it didn't happen, we are fighting life. We are fighting what is. Unity is based on a metaphysical interpretation of the Bible. Yes, we look at the Bible as metaphor and allegory. But we also know that miracles happen every day. Yes. Every miracle listed in the Scriptures, every single one of them. Jesus raising Lazarus from the tomb. Jesus raising the little girl who was dead, tells her to get up. The lame man at Bethesda, he tells, do you want to walk? Get up, walk. And the man does. The blind see. The lame walk. The dead are risen. That happens every day of the week right around the corner at the hospital. Every day of the week. And no one calls them miracles anymore. Right? That is everyday occurrences. As the Course in Miracle teaches, a miracle is just a shift in perception. Perceptive. I can speak today, I can. Perception, excuse me. A shift in perception from fear to love. Let me settle in. A shift in perception from fear to love. When we do, anything is possible. As I look around this room today, I know many of you have been sitting here and are living with diagnoses that the doctors told you were incurable, that there was no hope, and yet you sit here today, and you play here today, and perform here today, and prove the doctors wrong constantly. How many of us have faced something in our life that we were told was impossible, could never happen, and yet we do it anyway? Right? Nod at all those people who say you can't, and keep on keeping on till it happens. So When people ask me today, did Jesus actually rise from the tomb on the third day? Or is that a metaphor about resurrection in our own life? My answer is yes. We all rise from the tomb. We all roll away the stone when it is our time. You have to understand from the perception of Scripture, from the Hebrew Scriptures, that the idea of going into the tomb through the 3 days is ancient. And the idea of rolling away the stone started way back in Genesis. What they used to do is roll away the stone to let the waters of the well come forth so they could feed the lambs. And then they'd roll the stone back when it was time to shut off the source of life. In the tomb allegory, Jesus is put into the tomb after his crucifixion, and he is covered up with the stone. You see in this image, when they come on the third day on Easter Sunday, the women who are coming to anoint his body find the stone has been moved away without any effort. Just gone. And Jesus isn't there. When they encounter him on the road, they start talking to him not knowing who he is, because he is so transformed that they don't even recognize him. How many of us have had to withdraw from our life because life's processes have crucified us, have made us withdraw into that time of renewing? When it's time to roll away the stone, we all do. We all let it go and step forward, not only letting the light in, but letting our light out, becoming the light of the world. Sometimes, yes, we have to go into retreat. Sometimes we have to fall down, let it drop, to find the right way to be. When we have been too much of the world, too much in combat with what is. I'd like to offer us this Easter a different way of understanding this. Did Jesus rise from the tomb, or is it a metaphor? It's both. Are you fully human and fully divine? Yes, it's both. And in being fully human, you get to cry, you get to feel your grief and your pain and the loss of people you love. You get to feel your disappointment and the hurt and the struggle. But like they're saying, you know something else is on the other side, right of that. And you know that this earthly and this human existence isn't all that's going on. That you are God's perfect child, made in the image and likeness of that divine energy. And that your true home cannot ever be lost. This body will leave. This body will cease. But who you are, who each and every one of you are, and who I am, will go on. Yes, Rosa too. We all know this in our pets, right? We miss them so much when we lose them. And yet, they stay with us forever. So that eternity, that divinity, and that humanity, we've been on this spectrum of trying to emphasize one or the other. I'm just human. I'm divine. I am the light. When we try and go to one way or the other rather than encompassing the whole, we miss an opportunity to balance it all. We miss the opportunity of this planet. We are here for a purpose. Right? Right? We are here to do something, each and every one of us. And my purpose is different than yours. But we're all here for a purpose. That is to love and to be loved. Right? To let ourselves be loved. To give love wastefully, unconditionally, without restriction or need. Just to give it. What if each and every one of us decided to walk out of this room today and not withhold love from anyone? Anyone. Right? So I know you're all thinking of the ones you want to withhold love from. So get it out now. Get it out now. To embrace our full humanity, to understand that part of us wants to close our heart. Part of us wants to shut ourselves off and try not to feel the hurt, not to feel the anxiety or the anguish or the fear or the worry. Well, if we're here in human form, which I think all of us in this room are, except for Rosa. If we're here in human form, then it is our job to feel our humanity and to share it. And if we're here as an expression of the divine, it is our job to share it, to know it, to live it. When we can balance both of those things, we stop worrying about how we fall short and understand the truth of who we are needs no accomplishment on this earth. The truth of who we are needs no title. The truth of who you are needs no job description, because you have come here to do your job and you know what it is. The truth of who you are only wants love. We are fully human and fully divine. Jesus stood in the Gospels before the people who were condemning him to death, and stood there, according to the Scriptures, and defended nothing. Stood powerfully, simply, in truth. Now, for whatever reason the Gospel writers wrote that story, they found it incredibly powerful. Whether it happened, or whether it's an allegory, or how not to dive into that battle, that adversarial relationship, that having to be right. A couple weeks ago, I was giving a talk on the levels of consciousness. Which consciousness are we in? And for those of you who aren't here, there are four. Victim, which means to me. Oh, everything's happening to me. Victor, which is happening by me. Vessel, consciousness, happening through me. And verity, consciousness, which is oneness consciousness, happening as me. It's the consciousness of oneness with God. When we're in victim consciousness, everything is happening to us. And it feels like we have to battle it. But all those levels of consciousness exist at once. All those levels of consciousness exist at once. When we're in victim consciousness, though, I heard it said that when two people are arguing, they're fighting to be the victim. Right? So if you're having an argument with someone, you're arguing, no, you hurt me. I'm the one who's the victim here. And you watch them from a distance and you can go, oh my God, they're all racing to the bottom. So the next time you find yourself in an argument with someone, just remember you're fighting for your victim status. Wow. Right? That'll shift you quick. Right? What if we could understand that in a millisecond and change our minds? To understand that we can go to another level of consciousness. I'll give you an example. Jesus our elder brother, our way shower, Jesus of Nazareth, said on the cross in the Gospel of Luke, my God, why have you forsaken me? Is that victim consciousness? Or is it just scripture he was quoting? It's actually a psalm. But then he also said, I have come that you may have life and you may have it abundantly. Victor consciousness. And he said, it is not I, but the Father within that does these works. Vessel consciousness. And verity consciousness. That which you do to the least of my brothers, you do to me. Oneness consciousness. All the spectrums of life, of humanity and divinity, all meshed into one. And to understand that no one is right or wrong, that there is not a perfect way to do this life, but there are 7 billion ways to be a divine human being on this planet, means that you roll away the stone. You roll away the things that are blocking you from your good, and you step forward into the light as the light. Because there's no difference whether the light comes from another or from you. It is your shared purpose. It is your shared job to lift each other, to help each other, to spread our well-being, our good, to accept our good. To say, I am worthy. I am worthy of being successful. I am worthy of being loved. I am worthy because I am a child of God. Because I am an expression of the divine. And no matter what happens and no matter what diagnosis or what life may bring, the most important thing is what happens inside of me. Right? As Eric Butterworth said, things may happen to you, things may happen around you, but the most important thing is what happens within you. So when the arrows and the adversity come, to remember we are not racing for victim status. That we are lifting our consciousness to something else. That this is not happening to me, it is happening for me. It is happening so that I may express love in a more powerful way. That I may be the expression of love that the world so desperately needs. As Emmett Fox wrote in the 1930s, there is not anything that enough love will not cure. No situation so fraught, no road so rough, no problem so unsurmountable that enough realization of love will not cure it, change it, shift it, make it whole again. When you love, you are the most powerful being on the planet. When you love, you are the Christ. And we talk about the Christ here not as a person, not as Jesus, but as a consciousness of knowing. And we talk about Jesus here as our elder brother and way shower. That he was the Son of God. And that you are the sons and the daughters of God. Just the same as him, fully human and fully divine. When we follow him, when we follow his example as passed down for generation to generation, we get to be that love that the world needs. When we follow rules and doctrine and hierarchy, we miss the point. I came not to abolish the laws and the prophets, but to expand them, to celebrate them, to talk about them, to elevate them. You come not to pay heed to what went before you, but to elevate it, to celebrate it, to expand it. There is a simple and very difficult thing for all of us to do. Roll away the stones. Roll away the stones that are keeping us from fully expressing who we are. Roll away the stones and the protection and the battle barricades that keep you from feeling your feelings, that keep you from sharing other people's sorrow, that keep you from celebrating who and what you are. If we're lucky, if we're really fortunate, we get 90 or 100 years on this planet. We don't know. But as I look around this room today, how much time is left? We don't know. So what are we waiting for? How do we go and roll away the stone? In little ways and in big ways. How do we roll away the stone so that our lives and the planet is forever changed? I know that the world's problems seem insurmountable, but the individual problems are not. Our individual problems are not. One of my goals every day is to see people differently than I have known them. And where that's the hardest is with my family. Right? So for all of us, you know, it's like your family not only pushes your buttons, they install them. They know exactly where they are. Oh, yeah, I can get a reaction out of you with that one, can't I? And as I said to my siblings recently as we were taking care of Mom, you know, we don't have to play the same family systems roles we chose as children. We can choose again. We can choose to be a different person in this situation. So my challenge to us on this Easter is, how do we walk out of these doors? This feels wonderful, I have to tell you. The love that I'm feeling from all of you, the incredible music that we're experiencing, and the love that is flowing is so good. And we're going to walk out on the street, and there will be people that we encounter where we have to consciously open our hearts and love them. There will be situations that will tell us not to. And we have the choice in every moment to roll away the stone. To roll away the stone and see that person for who they really are. Homeless, stinking, smelling, angry, Democrat, Republican, you name it. To open your heart and see them. As Gandhi said, you cannot change the mind of anyone who could feel your inner contempt. Today, let us not bring the contempt forward. Let us bring the love forward. Let's roll away the stone. Bring the love forward. Let's roll away the stone and be the love the world needs. Let's roll away the stone and be the perfect expression that we can be. Is it in vain? Hell no. Hell to the no. Is it in vain? Hell no. Is loving in vain? No. Hell no. Is speaking your truth in vain? Hell no. Is being who you are in vain? Hell no. So you go home and tell all your friends that your preacher had you screaming, hell no, on Easter Sunday. Is it worth it to love? Hell yes. Yes. Is it worth it to take the risk? Yes. Yes. This time of year is, of course, why Easter is placed here. Historically, we don't know when Jesus was crucified and when he was buried and resurrected. No one knows. But sure fits this time of year, at least for us in the northern hemisphere, right?
Yes.
Right? So it fits this time of year, and we have this opportunity now to look at where we've gone dormant, to look at where we've stepped back from celebrating life, and to fully commit to living it. We have this wreath here, and we bring it out a couple times a year, at Christmas and at Easter, and it starts bare. And by the end of our holiday season, it is filled with life, either evergreens or flowers. And the season of spring brings new possibilities. When we've gone dormant, when we've withdrawn, when we've gone into our own personal tombs, we block good, sometimes for a very good reason. The snow is passing over. The season is inhospitable to us. We need to rest and transform. Like the butterfly going, well, the caterpillar going into the chrysalis before it bursts forth and becomes the butterfly. This is your opportunity to symbolically and metaphorically and in truth transform your life. What time do you have left? What do you want to do with it? What blossom do you want to leave on this year? What is yours to do? We're going to have a ritual as a meditation that's going to allow us to contemplate how are we blossoming in this season? How are we breaking through the apparent lack or emptiness to the fullness and the wholeness and the divinity that we are? The magnificent blossoms that you all got when you came in today. I ask you to pull into your hands now as I invite our music team up. If you didn't get a blossom, I invite you to raise your hand and we'll make sure that you get one right now. And instead of a formal meditation today, we're going to do a walking meditation. I'm going to invite each and every one of you to come up through this aisle and then back out the side aisles. So this aisle and then this aisle. As you come up, as our singers lead us, and we fall down once again. And remembering that this is your season to step out, to roll away the stone, and to be who you're really here to be. We fall down, but we get up. We get up.